Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Welcome back to another episode of Minecolonies. My name is Rev. Hope you guys got some like oatmeal, cereal, donuts. Man, actually, a donut sounds really good. You know, actually, what sounds really good? Like a piece of toast with like butter and jelly on it. Like that's just, I don't know. It just sounds really delicious. Anyways. Happy Monday, everybody. We're back here in our wonderful world here in urban Savannah. Last episode, we put together the town hall. We also, as I make my way over, we also put together this lovely builder set. It doesn't seem like much, but we definitely did a whole lot. In between episodes, what I've done is did a little bit of research into like the roadways and all that other kind of fun stuff, as well as started planning out what we're going to be doing in today's episode, which, oh man, do I try and achieve 3 buildings today. We did 2 last time, but do we try and go for 3 today? Ooh. Well, first of all, what we're going to be wanting to do, let's go ahead and open up our Minecolonies UI here and take a look at the fundamentals. So we've built our builder set, which is important to be able to build things. We have our town hall, which is to be able to manage things. We need a couple other things here. So first of all, I'm going to want to get a tavern, because that's going to bring more colonists in that we can then recruit to keep growing. I'm also going to be looking at doing a forester's hut, because that'll help us start getting all the wood we're going to need for a lot of the early levels. And then I'm thinking maybe a guard tower, mostly because we have quite a bit of mean, scary monsters off over this way. And I think a guard tower, like up here on this particular hill, would look pretty good, just kind of overseeing some of the Savannah stuff and everything like that. So that, I think, is going to be the plan for today with 3 buildings. That should be relatively straightforward. But let's go ahead, let's dive in a little bit more with talking about what those buildings are going to be doing and why they're important. I don't want to just kind of like immediately jump into doing like a time lapse and, you know, time lapse Rev talking kind of situation. I kind of want to go through that. So why are we looking to do those things? All right, so if I can, you know, once things in my inventory, is there like a setting here that I can shares previews? Try that. Does that work? Wow! An older version of the thing would allow me to actually see it without having to worry about. Oh. Oh well. Someone perished. That's unfortunate. But that's actually a good thing to talk about. Okay, so. Oh man. All right. Well, let's see. What do we need for? What do we need for a guard tower? If I could spell correctly. Okay, so our guard tower is a bow and some wood. The tavern. Actually, forester is an axe and some stuff. Oh, that's right. If you do a stone axe, you get 2 of them, which is always nice to see. And then a tavern has a barrel and some wood. Okay. Barrel and some wood. Do I actually have barrels over here? I don't think I actually have any barrels over here. But let's go ahead and get the tavern going. We'll talk about the tavern first. I think that'll be a pretty good one to kind of just hit on. So if we go over here, we don't need those particular barrels, but we need a barrel. Build and wood. Get rid of that egg. Yippee! Look at us go. Look at us. Look at us being all actually. Since, you know, we're here, why don't we just Here I am trying to be all sly and be like, oh man, check it out. I can just kind of knock out a couple things in one go. Look at us. All right, so we got the tavern and we got the forester, and I do not have a bow, and I don't think it gave me a bow anywhere. No. Nope. I do not have a bow. Got a lot of coal. Got a lot of food. Then unfortunately, no coal. Which, I mean, could be better. Could be a little bit better. Well, let's go ahead and we'll talk about those two, which that'll at least get us set up, and then we can probably get those placed, and I'll start going around gathering all those things, and I'll kind of hit on the guard tower as we kind of get into it as well. So let's go ahead, pull out our build one, come up here, because this is a nice little like blank palette for us to be able to just kind of see everything that we're going to be doing here into the fundamentals. And we're going to start with the tavern. So the tavern is going to be really good because you can kind of see here in the tooltip, it can attract visitors to the colonists. Now these visitors are going to be like pretty much exactly what we have today. You can get like special ones occasionally, and they have quests, or rather they have requests of what they would need to be persuaded to join, and we'll see that after it gets built. But if we go ahead and pop this on open, we kind of take a look at what it looks like. Ooh, nice. All right, and so this is stage 1 of the tavern, which, dang, that's huge. That's impressive. One of the things to note is that it's further down here at the bottom with like the, what do you want to call it? These like placeholder blocks. That's usually going to be a good indicator that a build is going to have a basement of some type. Usually when they see something like that. Now, something else to note here with the tavern is it only has 3 levels. You can't ever get to a level 5 with the tavern. And usually you don't need to. I don't think I've really ever felt the need to kind of see a tavern go that high, since by the time that you are already level 3 with the tavern, you should have a really steady supply chain of the building materials needed to start building like the residences, which we'll definitely get into that in the future episodes because that's not going to be too big right now. However, what's going to be really nice about the tavern is it is going to give our colonists, the ones that we have today, a place to officially live and kind of just like thrive, survive, run to for like cover and all that other kind of fun stuff. So we can take a look at it right here. Let's go ahead and rotate this around, kind of see it from a couple different angles. Again, loving the browns and the oranges and stuff like that, really good tones. The back, the fences, really cool. Let's go ahead and take a look at level 2. Now this is kind of nice. What's really cool that I always like about the tavern when we start doing anything in Minecolonies is that it's a really quick and easy way to kind of see the themes of what you're expecting to like fully see from a style pack. So here we can see the different types of shingles, we can see the different type of wood boards, we can see some banners and everything like that. Really can't see anything on the inside too well, but I saw some like green carpets and everything. There we got the barrels and stuff. Looks really nice. Definitely a fan. It could potentially have a basement in there. No idea at this current moment, simply because, well, I don't have x-ray vision. But if we go to level 3, we can see that the motif changes, just becomes a little bit more solidified. Instead of torches and stuff, we have the lanterns like that. I like what they're doing with the stonework right here, like the change, like the shingles. Let's go and rotate it around. At this point, I would say it's probably a safe bet, and if we, yeah, so if we raise this up a little bit, you can kind of see there is some form of cellar or a basement in there. So that's cool. Now, again, why are we wanting this? We're going to want this because this will bring colonists into, I don't know, I was like, why has that guy got an icon over there? It'll bring colonists into our base to allow us to recruit them to keep growing. There's 2 ways to increase your overall population size when playing Minecolonies, and that's going to be either through a tavern and recruiting your colonists, or when 2 colonists have a baby, like standard Minecraft sort of logic. In order to do that, they usually need to have their own beds and a place to sleep and everything. And that's where a tavern will come in for like the initial kickoff of things. But then also there's a means to doing that with the residences as well. And happiness plays into that. There's like a whole game mechanic, which we will definitely get into. Now, the tavern, where would we want to put that? Where do we want to put that? I'm thinking, because of what that ends up looking at, like level 3, it's kind of very like squat. It's got a front door and a back door, if I recall correctly. No, it's just the one door? Really? Okay. So it's just the one door. Maybe right here? Facing the builder's hut? What are we thinking? What are we thinking? Because this is also nice and flat over here in regards to like what it's looking to do. So I'm kind of like builder's hut here. We can do some roadways, which are always really nice. We can build like a dock or something like that off the back over here. Because in order to expand our cube where our colony sits today, we're gonna have to like put more buildings either right up against this, usually in the form of our builder's huts, our guard towers. There's I believe every building has the capacity to increase things by like 1 square or something. I can't remember the actual like official terminology for it, but like it has the ability to expand things out. But guard towers are like the way to do it. So, but I don't want to just like take this and just kind of plop it anywhere, because like when it's at level 3, it's gonna have kind of like, it's gonna have like a whole vibe to it, you know? And I don't want to like tuck it away. So why don't we do this? We can cancel that. We can come over here. We can kind of take a look and see what it looks like right here. Because I'm also thinking I could just put it up here, right? Like, I really like this backdrop of being able to look out the tavern and see all this. Like, that is pretty cool. And honestly, one of the reasons why I chose where we are right now for the whole build. So let's go ahead. Let's grab this. We'll do the tavern. Come on out. Oh, and one of the things that is nice is you can actually kind of walk the building. So like it's not all hopeless. But I just kind of look at it from the outside. It can help for people wanting to view it on the inside, but... Okay, so this is going to be the front door, right? Move this back, move this over here. We can also see, this is actually a really cool example for us now. Because we've already built a builder's hut right here, or rather a building in general, we can see the preview of what it's going to look like as it gets leveled up next to something that hasn't been built yet. So that can be very important for certain style packs, such as the what is that called? The Fortress style pack. It can be really good for just like if you're mixing and matching different style packs across. You're going to want to make sure that things look relatively like cohesive, if that's something that is important. And I'm looking to make sure that I line it up like right here. Things are blocky for a reason. Come over here, we can see, however, we are on the outside of our place, so this will not be able to be built here. It has to be fully inside. So let's go ahead and see what that's going to look like if I bring this over. Gotta go one more. Cool. Nice. And now I don't want to, I feel, I don't want to, let's see, if I push this back, raise it up. I really want to make sure, like for this particular style pack, what I'm really wanting to try and capitalize on is the verticality of what we see here in the windswept savannas. Like that is something that I'm really wanting to capitalize on, is what that looks like. And I think this could be pretty good. We can have a nice little path, everything like that. It's right up against the wall right there. Let's go ahead and look at it at level 3. Next is builder's hut. It's not too bad. Cast a little bit of light over. We can do a little bit more like terraforming and stuff like that. It would be over here. Yeah, I think this could go pretty well. Let me put it back to level 1, and we're going to look at it on the backside to see kind of like how much might have to get carved out. Okay, that's not bad. That's not bad. Let's come back over here. And for a final check, because like it's going to be, I'm looking at this. Like this is kind of like, you know, not like saying I'm looking for a thumbnail, right? But like, you know, thumbnail, the vibes, right? And that honestly isn't too bad. I'm going to want to get some saplings for these acacia trees, because I do like the way that those acacia trees really like add more texture to the overall scene. So I'm going to want to put this building here. We'll have to clear it out, all that kind of fun stuff, and bring some acacia trees down into like a pathway or the roadway through here to kind of like spruce all those things up. So that's cool. I do like this. I like where this is going to go. So we're going to go ahead and we'll say bye-bye. I don't know why that all just happened. And did that increase this over here? I don't think that it did. It did not. It did not increase the size here, unfortunately. Or maybe it doesn't until we actually build it. We'll have to keep that in mind. So anyways, we have that. We'll get that going here soon. I actually don't even know where the build thingy for the tavern went. But that's okay. We'll be able to tell our builder over here to start on that project. Let's go back over here to our canvas, and we're going to talk about the next building, which is going to be the forester's hut. Which the forester's hut is probably going to be the first foray that most people are going to have into the, I don't really want to call it automation, but it's essentially the automation of the mine colonies pack. So inside of mine colonies, right, like the whole idea is that you're building a thriving colony in some capacity, right? And in order to do that, you can't always be the one who is going to be going out and gathering all these materials. And it is especially a pain in the butt early game. Now, if we harken back, flashback to something that I had said in episode 1, when choosing a style pack, usually there's the two trains of thoughts of either you find a really cool place, like I did, such as the Urban Savannah, and then choose the style pack, or not the Urban Savannah, but the Windswept Savannah, and choose a style pack based on the, you know, nearby resources. Or you choose a style pack, such as a, you know, medieval birch, and then you find a location that's going to have all those resources. Now, as you start doing things, of course, maybe you really like the look of Urban Savannah and you want to build it in a Sakura Blossom, you know, forest. There's nothing wrong with that. The only problem is that you're going to have to go and spend some time to kind of jumpstart that particular thing by finding a whole bunch of acacia logs and then speed running to getting something like the forester, whose whole responsibility is to cut down trees as well as replant them, which starts building up this you know, chain, this supply chain of materials, so that you don't have to be the one growing with bone meal and chopping things down and everything like that. So this is going to be like that first foray into things, and is going to help us out a lot. The forester huts usually are something that it feels almost like they need to be placed out in the wilderness, kind of like away from everybody, so like they have a good plot of land to kind of be able to, you know, cut down the trees. I was about to say farm the trees, which is technically what they are doing. They are farming the trees, but it also kind of goes hand in hand with a overall look of what we see for the forester's hut. So if you take a look here, it's usually really small. A lot of them, what I have noticed, have the motif of being just like a hollowed out like log or something, which isn't bad. You know, we see this kind of like just expand a little bit more. This gets a little bit taller. I like what we see here with the little additional things out front. What's nice about this one that we're seeing is there's signage, right? I saw that with the tavern as well, as that they had some signs, which is really, really cool. I'm liking that. The wood out front, that's a level 3. Level 4, a little bit more pathway and stuff. What I'm also seeing here is this built-in pathway. Makes it feel like we want to have this connected in some way to our colony. I like what they got going on up there. That's kind of nice. And then finally, level 5, little tree. They got that sign, logs over there. The The axe is diamond now, showing what they're cutting with. Pretty cool. We can see that they don't have like a basement or anything. It's very, what you see is what you get, which isn't bad. So, cool. All right. I'm looking at this, and I'm trying to think, where would this best fit? Now, I'm definitely liking the idea of playing with the verticality. We're going to have the tavern over there. We're going to have the builder's hut right here. That's going to be growing. I want to put a guard tower like up there, over there, probably down over there to keep like expanding things out. But we'll get into that. Don't worry. And I also know I mentioned last time about the warehouse and the courier's hut, but that might not be until the next episode. But I'm trying to think how I want to go about doing this. Because this, where I'm standing right now, one, I like this as the idea of being able to just kind of be like, hey, look here, we can see what the buildings are, which is fantastic. But I'm thinking planning to turn this like into a little bit more of a path. We got the path under there, path leading up to like a guard tower would be really cool. But what I'm seeing is we have a really nice, potentially flat area right here, which is beneficial because we already see there's a lot of trees just kind of in the area. And so I'm thinking maybe what ends up happening is it's going to be kind of like tucked over here into this corner up against that. I kind of like that as the idea. Now, one thing to note, and I mentioned this in previous episodes as well, is that this supply camp, in some cases, depending on whichever one it is and how you're going about using it, the idea is that you do break down the supply camp at some point. Like, it's not supposed to be a permanent feature. It can be for nostalgia reasons, and in some cases, a lot of people utilize their supply camps as like a really good starting off point. And, you know, especially in something like all the mods, because they're so easy to make to just get a whole bunch of like raw materials right from the get-go. But this is definitely going to go at some point. I'm definitely not going to want to keep this here. It is one of those, it just doesn't fit the vibe. And in some packs, we can even look, maybe decorations, supplies, nope, parks, nope, fields maybe, nope. Some packs will often have a like mayor's house or something along those lines. All right, so what are we gonna do here? So I'm thinking that this is going to come over here, and we are gonna wanna build it kind of tucked away into this particular spot. Do I want it up on this? All right, I'm thinking it's going to be kind of over here. Maybe it's just gonna be, I think I want to tuck it in here, I think. Or maybe right here. Where do I want this? Ooh. This is one of those things where it's like it's always hard because like you wanna adhere to like a vision, and I have in my little brain noodle, right? Like I have this idea of what this is going to look like. And maybe I don't wanna cut too much into this, but I do like the idea, right, of we have this forest road. I'm just gonna level it up to this so I can rotate it so it's facing me. Right somewhere over here. Because I have that path right there. Definitely, I like the way that lines up. This feels pretty good. It cuts into this a little bit, which I'm not too happy with. So let's move that forward a bit more. I like more of this. Yeah, something a little bit more. We'll go one more over. Yeah, a little bit more natural looking like that. This isn't too far out, which is really good. Gives that passage right there a little bit more room to breathe. Then I can make a stairway going up, stairway going over in there. This is right next to the builder's hut, which it's starting to feel like slightly a little claustrophobic, especially if we start thinking of like what the pathways are going to look like through here. And there's always something to be said that we can take it down. But I'm thinking of putting this right here from the stance of, one, easy to kind of terraform around it, keeping with the shape of what we're seeing here. But two, what it allows for is the planting of trees over in this area. And I'm thinking there'll be like a nice park as well as like a dock and some other things. I know that there is a supply ship that I can look at. And actually, we might see what that looks like here in a second. So I'm thinking this is where this is going to go. This could always move in the future, but I do like when it's level 5 that it has kind of like, hey, here is the, you know, a piece of lumber, a whole bunch right here. We have the builder's hut over here that's also going to have similar things like that. And we're gonna have the tavern over there. And I think we can kind of start to think about, like, you know, the industrial quote unquote district of what our city is going to look like, and like how that all shape out. We'll have like an industrial district for resource gathering and everything. I have no idea where the mine is going to go yet, but probably tucked back over in there. But I'm liking this. So we're going to go ahead. We'll put this here, which is nice. I will help my builders out in terms of clearing all this stuff out here in a moment. We're going to hop back up here, and I'm going to pop open what the supply ship looks like, because from a, not like a creative, but more of like the overall vibe, it might be cooler to have like a ship sitting out in the water on this side, or even potentially, you know, this side over here, that is just kind of like, hey, it's here to deliver, you know, the goods, or this is like where we landed and embarked to do all these types of things. So let's go ahead and take a look at what the supply ship looks like. Okay, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. I don't know if, I like the colors. I like the colors. I don't know if that's actually going to be something that'll fit in here. This will be one of those, I think, examples where I would be looking at what some of the other style packs have for supply ships to kind of just add some different texture and overall vibes and stuff. So that is what it is on that particular one. But I will be taking this down at some point. I don't know what's going to go in its place, but probably pathways, maybe a park. Probably a park. That sounds like a good thing. All right, so we have 2 buildings that need to be done. We have a 3rd building that'll also be done, which is going to be the guard towers. And we will talk about the guard towers, like, once they're done and built, I think. Because I have to go get a bow, which means I gotta go deal with spiders and everything that's pretty much in this pit over here. And that's like, oh man. Oh, that's a thing. Oh, let's come over here and take a look real quick what this looks like. Horrifying. Absolutely horrifying. I also need to like wrangle all these cows and put them into like a pen so I can start farming them. Probably get some torches down there at some point. So like we're kind of already here, we're kind of like looking at it, right? I plan to have like pathways coming through over into here, through this little mountain range, and then building in here. Like this, I think, is going to be where, if we open up our build tool and we take a look at the craftsmanship stuff, this I think is where we're going to most likely see some of this kind of pop in. It's either going to be that or it might be farm. I'm not sure, but I like the idea of like enclosing this like really cool like hidden crafting away, right? Like the Fletcher could be in there, the armor smith and all that other kind of stuff can kind of be like in this bowl. And then the farms can kind of be like up here on this like kind of mountainous range and kind of like building all that up. I think that could go really, really hard. It would just, I think the vibes are just right. So with that being said though, we are going to go ahead and do a little bit of that, you know, gathering. We're going to go ahead and get the places over here all opened up for our builders, which is going to be really good for us. Help them kind of speed things along so they can kind of jump right on into building. And when we come back, we'll have not just 1, not just 2, but 3 buildings. And we're going to talk a little bit more about like getting everything all set up, as well as like why we did the guard tower as opposed to the warehouse and the courier's hut. Even though I made myself some pretty good arguments in episode 2, I'm thinking the guard tower is going to be a little bit more important. So I'm going to pass it on over to voiceover Rev. Wha!
All right, it is time-lapse Rev. That's future me looking at past me's work, which is always fun and not at all confusing in any way, shape, or form. So let's go ahead and not knock my microphone into things as I'm holding it, which feels really weird with my whole new mic setup, not actually having like an arm or anything like that. I'm just kind of like waving around a microphone, totally going to make myself like have horrible problems when editing this all down, because I never want to make anything easy for myself, because why not? But so we're back. It's episode 3 of the Urban Savannah playthrough, which is fun. Let's see, what do we got going on so far? Lots of buildings. Oh my goodness, lots of buildings. I'm actually really excited for the overall style pack and like the color of how everything's gonna end up playing out with all the verticality. And I think I mentioned that. I don't even remember what I said at the beginning of the video, which is weird because I'm like editing it right now, but you know, who knows. But I don't know, the verticality is gonna be a fun challenge, I think. It reminds me a little bit of what I was planning on doing with a Nordic style pack after Fairy Tale, and utilizing a lot of the cliff faces and the terrain and like the frozen tundra to do things. It looked really cool. It was a lot of fun, and still kind of sad that all that footage just kind of went by the wayside. But one of the reasons I think y'all are here is to hear about like what I've been listening to this week, as well as what my thoughts around songs and stuff are, which is weird, which is crazy. Can't believe you all kind of tune in every week for that, but I like it usually because you guys give me some good fun recommendations after the fact. But I'm gonna kind of go back to what do we want to say? Like, it's a classic to me because I grew up with this band. However, they've just recently released some new stuff, which is really crazy, but mostly around the idea that like it's 2 lead singers now as opposed to just like 1 lead singer. So the band in question is going to be 3 Days Grace, and the song this week that I've been really vibing with is Apologies. There was another one that they put out for a single for like the new album called Airplane, I think is what it might have been. Might have been Airplane, might have been like Pilot or something along those lines. But the band itself, really unique. One, I love the overall vibe that they have. Like over the past 10 years, longer than that, they've kind of really honed in on what their sound is and like have been uniquely consistent with what it is and how they've kind of grown and matured as a band. But they still like have a lot of those like driving, like punchy bass, punchy drums. It just feels really good to kind of just bob your head to while you're just driving around in the car, lifting weights, running, just cleaning the house. Lots of fun. But what's really crazy that's going on with them right now is that for those who, you know, keep up with musical drama and all that, the lead singer, the original lead singer, ended up leaving the band, like back in 2016, 2017, over, you know, personal issues and what, you know, issues usually transpire in bands of, you know, neglect of whatever and everything like that. But they ended up finding another, you know, lead singer. Cool, crazy. That guy came in, did a lot of really great work, was able to nail the overall tone of the original lead singer's voice. Loved it, great music, and you can hear it in some of the newer stuff that they've put out. But what's so cool about this most recent album is that with the original lead singer coming back, they've kind of found this really nice middle ground where you have both the new singer and the old singer playing off one another, like in this album. It's really good. It's really good. It's worth a listen. Mostly because a lot of the times when a original member comes back and starts participating in the process of making music again with the band, they, you know, kind of like try to overshadow any of the existing, you know, triumphs or anything like that has happened since they left. And this feels like a really, really good, like, I don't want to say like, I was going to say, it's a really good, beautiful, like, you know, union of 2 voices, which in reality, I believe that it is, but it's a really cool way to see them like come in and actually recognize the effort that went into, you know, the new singer who stepped in and carried on, you know, this torch for the band. So I don't know. Apologies is the song that I've been really vibing to, but the whole album is actually a lot of fun, and it really kind of plays into that motif of, you know, these two lead singers. Other than that, 3 Days Grace is, of course, just like a really solid band. Really harken back to, you know, the days of like A Day to Remember and like Warped Tour and, you know, all those other kind of fun bands. Huge fan of like alternative rock and I guess newish metal. I don't know if we would put that label on them. Outside of that, though, music-wise, of course, please would love to know what you guys are listening to, because it's usually through your guys' recommendations that end up popping up on my Apple playlist that give me some really weird, like, gym workout playlists. It's crazy. Just hands down, it's crazy. But the more unique my playlist is, it allows me to discover, like, new music to hopefully, like, circle back and talk with you guys about. Or if someone, like, who was it? Someone hit me with, like, a Swedish song a bit ago. And, like, I've never been one to listen to Swedish music, but it was really cool. So, like, I hands down appreciate you for that one. So, by all means, please drop those down below. Love all that. And the only other thing to kind of mention in, like, the wrap up here as, like, a small time capsule for this whole thing is, in my absence, for whatever reason, I said, I'm not really making Minecraft worlds, so I'm just going to go write a book. So I wrote a book, and I'm in the process of actually self-publishing that book. So that's fun and scary, but exciting. Other than that, I'm looking forward to what you guys have. And we're going to let this time lapse and coffee music stuff that I have as like a chill bop in the background kind of play out. And yeah, that's all for me on the back end. So thanks you guys for watching. All right. Oh god. On fire. That's not what we wanted. Oh boy. Anyways, we're back. We did a time lapse. It's back to me in the past. So no more voiceover, Rev, and all that kind of fun stuff. We have done a few things here. We got 4 buildings. You can already kind of see. We got a guard tower up over there. We have a guard tower over here. We have the forester's hut right here, and then we also have the tavern, which is all the way over here. Now, let's go ahead and start with the tavern as the initial place to kind of check out real quick, just to kind of go over what they are. Well, we're gonna pretty much go in order of complexity, and I gotta clear out some of this here. Terraform. I got a slant, so it's a nice easy walkway through. I missed it when I was helping level everything out. Anyway, so in order of complexity, we're going to start with the tavern, then we're going to move to the guard towers, and then finally onto the forester's hut, because yeah, that's complex, all that kind of fun stuff. So one of the things we can see here with the tavern is we have a whole bunch of new colonists just kind of mingling around everywhere, and those denoted with like the colonist icon and the plus means we can recruit them into our colony. And that's one of the really big points of having a tavern, is if I were to come and talk to this Elysia person,
what is it?
I can see that I can recruit them for getting 25 books. I can also take a look at their stats and see if they'd be like a good fit and everything for like min-max purposes. But that's one of the big reasons why we wanted to make a tavern, because, well, you might have seen it during time lapses, but also previous to that, like, we had a couple colonists dying due to zombies and other things, and in order to get more of them back in, we're going to have to make sure that, you know, we bring more colonists. Another thing is that it is going to provide a place of safety for our colonists. We can see they're in here sleeping right now, tucked into bed and stuff like that, for the ones who are either not actively doing something, such as the guards. And if we come over here to the block for it, we can look and we can see who all the citizens are that are assigned to that. So we have the builder, we have the forester,
If we look at the managed housing, we can actually see how far away they work from here. As we scale the colony up, we're going to want to make sure to actually like have the citizens in a house that is close to where they work so that they're like happy, and a whole slew of other things that kind of go into that. You can recall things and of course name things as well. So that is the tavern. It is honestly pretty simple. Nothing more to it other than the fact that it gives us the ability to have a lot of that early game sort of, you know, place for our colonists to sleep if they're not a guard, and recruit new colonists. And we'll actually see like special colonists make their way in. I think there's like Sword Art Online ones and a whole bunch of other stuff. It's a lot of fun. So that is the tavern. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward. Usually one of the first buildings that you are going to, oh man, look at that. We got a kid. Nice. Usually one of the first buildings that you do build outside of the builder's hut and the town hall is going to be a tavern to account for, you know, the loss of colonists. So let's go over here to the guard tower. Now the guard tower, oh yep, and you can see right there, a growing settlement means a growing responsibility. You should consider placing a restaurant to keep your settlers well fed. So that will most likely be one of the next buildings that we will do in another episode, but we'll get to that. We will in fact get to that. In fact, what is this? The guards are asking for armor and everything like that. That's, well, we'll deal with that. So here's the guard tower. Now the guard tower, when you put it down and you have a block and stuff, there are 3 types of potential military-esque people that you can have. You can have a knight, you can have a, I believe, a ranger. Is that what that is? What do you do? Task control. Where is... Yeah.
I could help you with that.
So you can have a knight, an archer, or a druid. We have Mark here. He's a knight, which is pretty good. I like having like a nice healthy mix of everything. The other person, wherever they ran off to, is an archer, and then of course druids. Usually I find having the knights and archers does well enough. So like that kind of works pretty well. I've never really had a good experience like using druids at all, but like mileage may vary. Inside of here, obviously, when it comes to interfacing with most buildings inside of Minecolonies, you're going to see a UI very similar to this, where you can like recall them, all that kind of fun stuff. Minimum stock, selection tool, hostiles, and settings. So this is where things are going to kind of start getting a little bit more unique, depending on the, you know, we'll say block in general. But for our guard tower, we have these settings here. Right now, they're set to patrol. We can do a guard. We can tell them to, like, whatever that might be. They can just follow me around. They can patrol the mine, or they can just kind of, you know, keep patrolling. Retreat on low health. Yes. Hire a trainee can be on. That will be coming much later. We don't have to worry about that right now. And then patrol mode, automatic. You can also, like, kind of choose the actual path that they take. The automatic patrol mode is usually they visit each one of the blocks that exist today currently, and they kind of use their own navigation system for that. And that's usually where I just kind of like to keep it, especially in the early stages of the colony, because, you know, hey, why not? Hostiles, this is where we can say what we want them to be able to fight if they show up. I mean, I would absolutely love to see them take on, you know, an Ender Dragon. That'd be kind of fun. Especially late game. Late game knights and archers can actually do some pretty hefty damage with the upgrades and stuff that they get. But this is where you can, like, say, hey, I don't want you killing, say you have like a zombie farm, right? We have a zombie farm or a silverfish farm or something along those lines, and it's close enough to our colony that we wouldn't want them killing it. We can toggle that off here. Selection tool. This is you can kind of read it right here. Right click positions to mark as a guard or patrol points, and this is a tool that'll be very similar in a few other buildings as well. Once we get into a much more larger colony and we have, you know, several of these, guard towers, because if we can see here, like the boxes have opened up a little bit because we put some of these guard towers down. What we're going to want to do is make sure that our guards are actually guarding certain areas or patrolling between just like a few different areas. We don't want all of our guards doing like a giant circuit of our colony, because then if, say, they're all on the south side, because that's where they kind of just end up syncing up, and an attack comes from the north, oh boy, like that's just a whole bunch of pain. Because yeah, you guessed it, we can be attacked. It hasn't happened yet, but we can in fact be attacked. And then lastly, minimum stock. This is going to be things for, more importantly, in like the restaurant and everything, but here you can have like a minimum stock of like arrows or armor or weapons or anything like that. And how that ends up equating once we bring in a courier and the warehouse in the next episode. The courier will see the minimum stock needed in certain buildings and make sure that these buildings have what they're looking for at like the barest level. So we'll leave those guys to it. That's the guard tower. There's really not a lot to these in particular. They're pretty straightforward and basic, which is great because we do need a lot of them as we continue to scale up. I think I don't think next episode is going to be the Great Purge of the Bowl back over there, but definitely the following episode will most likely have the Great Purge in the back. Now, more importantly, let's get to some of the more big bread and butter aspects of mine colonies, and that's going to be most likely everybody's first foray into it, which is the Forester. So early game, obviously we can kind of take a look here. Everything's kind of built out of wood, and you as the player are going to be responsible to gather a lot of this wood, which, you know, hey, makes sense. Very true. Absolutely. 10 out of 10. It's normal Minecraft stuff. You got to go punch a tree, make a crafting table. But in mine colonies, you can't be expected to be the sole provider for absolutely everything that happens in this mod pack, right? So that's where some of these buildings start coming in, and the Forester is a really good first like step into that. So let's go ahead and take a look. We're going to see right here, there is the normal UI, inventory, all that kind of fun stuff. Pickup priority is something that, like, if we're really looking to kind of min-max things and organize things into like queues and all that to like well oil it, we'll start messing around with this. But this isn't going to become important until much later on in the mod pack. We have custom recipes. This is something that we're going to see in a lot of the crafting things for the Forester. What it's going to do is going to do like the stripped birch wood and stuff like that. Essentially, it'll end up allowing us to say, you know, from a, where is it at? The minimum stock, we can add here in the minimum stock, you know, hey, go ahead and make sure I have, you know, a couple stacks of stripped acacia logs and a couple stacks of stripped, you know, oak or cherry or whatever it might be. And that'll continue to be present here. So when a courier comes by to pick up any of the resources that our Forester has gathered, it will just remain the minimum stock in this particular thing, which is really nice. So that's custom recipes. Saplings, this is what we all want them to plant. The default, I believe, if we come to settings, is replanting on. Yep. So he will go around, he'll find a tree, he'll cut it down, and then when he cuts it down, if he has a sapling or not, he will replant exactly where he cut that tree down, which is super handy. And this is where we can kind of say what we want to grow. You know, obviously the only things really around are acacia. There's a couple oak here and there, so we don't have to worry about this too much. But if you're living in a much more denser biome, or, you know, what some people end up doing is they bring other saplings and other trees as a means of, you know, fleshing out their colony, their world, whatever. We don't want to go and plant a whole bunch of cherry saplings and then our guy go and cut them down. Like, we don't want that, so we can turn that off. These are the tasks, nothing too crazy there. Looking at the settings, replanting, cool. Zoning is going to work similar to this right here, which is the selector tool that we saw from the guard tower. This allows us to pretty much highlight an area and only say that he can cut down trees in this area. Right now, what he's going to do is run all over within, I don't remember how many blocks it is, but he pretty much works in a giant like circle, and any tree that is in that particular area, he'll cut it down and just kind of keep going. The zoning mode allows us to kind of limit that. Breaking leaves. This right here would be, you know, utilizing just breaking the leaves to further like make things easier. It's currently set to off. We can set this to on, and they like kind of clean everything up. We can have them like use shears to get like some of the you know, leafage and stuff like that, which is really nice. Selection tool, already did that. Minimum stock, already did that. So this is going to be the first part. So what ends up happening, right? I don't know, he hasn't actually done anything. You might actually have it in his inventory, but he is sleeping right now for whatever reason. We'll go look in his inventory. This is going to be a very important building for us to start, right? Because if you look at all this, I had to be the one to gather all of this acacia wood and craft all of these fences, strip everything, plant everything, all that to provide to the builder to then build these houses, the tavern, the guard towers, and all that. We aren't going to want to be doing that long term. Long term, we're going to want the forester to supply the wood to then be picked up by the courier into the warehouse. And if the builder needs acacia wood or stripped wood, they'll be able to run to the warehouse, buy the courier, grab it, bring it to them. And then we'll have a carpenter later who will be able to make other things to streamline this particular process. But for right now, what's going to end up happening, especially in the next episode, is our forester, after I get all the buildings in, right? The forester will be harvesting some logs. A courier will run by, pick it up, and then bring it back to the warehouse. And then all I have to do is just be sitting in the warehouse, and I can kind of do all the crafting right up front. Eventually, we'll have another colonist who'll do that crafting, but we're not there yet. And that is a creeper right there. I see you, buddy. But let's go up here real quick. Let's see what he has. Oh, he's got a kid. Oh yeah, the rain. Okay, so he has not actually done much in the way of foresting. So
what is it?
We will have to check on that in the next episode. That being said, so plans for next episode is, and I've already mentioned two of them, is going to be the courier and the warehouse. That's going to be a fun one. I think I'll probably end up putting the courier like over here. I like having my couriers. Well, I guess it really depends on like what the whole look ends up being, but I usually like having it next to my town hall. But I'm definitely going to want to do storage. We're definitely going to be looking at the warehouse. We're going to be wanting to look at the courier's hut, because that's going to be really good to start really automating a lot of these things. And then if we take a look at the fundamentals again, we have a restaurant and the mine. These are probably going to be the things that come in. I did 4 buildings. I did 3 if I count the guard tower as just 1. So I'm going to probably try to do 4 buildings. I'm going to try and increase it in terms of like the complexity with each video. That sounds right to me. I believe restaurant is going to be a good one, as you saw with the pop-up, that we need to feed our colonists, which is very true. That has to happen. And if it's not the mine, it'll probably be a farm. That might be what ends up happening as a means of really starting to make sure that we flesh all of these things out. So, with that being said, we bring ourselves to the fun close of another episode here in the Urban Savannah playthrough. Always a fantastic time hanging out, talking with you guys, sharing music and all that kind of fun stuff. And if I didn't mention it, which I probably did, I don't know. There's like this weird, again, timey-wimey stuff with how I record these things and the time lapses and then kind of like do the voiceover and all that kind of fun stuff. So if I didn't say drop some music suggestions down below, please drop some music suggestions down below, because it really helps with my workout playlists. I like finding new music through you guys. It's been fantastic, and you have been, of course, providing some fun ones so far, so let's keep that going. And, of course, if there's any other kind of fun stuff in the ways of, like, names that you would like to see these buildings be called, or villagers or anything, drop that down below as well. Other than that, the normal YouTube shenanigans of like, comment, subscribe, do that if it's happy. But either way, thank you for choosing to spend another Monday with me, or, you know, whatever day you guys end up choosing to watch this. It's always a blast, but I will see you guys in the next video. So, bye.